Hello everyone, it's me the Boss Hog and I'm back for another video. Now we've not had a video for a couple of weeks and honestly that's mainly because I've crunched time at work for a couple of big projects and I wasn't really expecting to make a video now, but there was some rubbish spoken this week that I just knew I had to make a video on. So if you fancy a few minutes of basically me grumbling about well-off people telling you to accept being poor, then strap on in because I have a rant for you. Now, in terms of what was said, I put a couple of quotes there. Hugh Pill is chief economist at the Bank of England, a position paying 190k per year in total. That's a combination of salary and pension contributions. Not bad though. And there's a couple also from Andrew Bailey. Now, the Andrew Bailey comments are from last year. He's the governor of the Bank of England, so the big cheese there. A position paying 600k per year, so these are pretty well paid positions. Now, firstly, saying that I don't want to be the guy who hates on the well-off and high earners. Many people would say I'm in that category, and just because somebody is saying something doesn't mean they aren't right on it, even if you otherwise abhor them or their position. But that aside, like, what on earth are these people on about? Like, you don't have to accept anything, I want to be clear. You are an individual in charge of your own life. You don't have to accept that basically you're some leaf on the wind, unable to change your circumstance. Honestly, don't accept being poor. It's freaking miserable. And I know I grew up poor. I grew up eating noodles. Oh man, curry flavored, smart priced Asda noodles for dinner, or baked beans with bread for dinner. Like it's a depressing way to exist. Like you don't owe anybody anything. Asking for pay rise is an important part of navigating adult life. You personally make diddly squat contribution to inflation. Like diddly squat, you personally have no contribution to inflation at all. Like don't be an idiot. And it just reminded me of like my first year PPE studies where these kind of people were known as suckers, like the people who just took it on the chin for everybody else. They get exploited basically by free riders and anybody else who basically can do because they're too weak to do anything about it. Like don't be a sucker, you end up worse off in the long run, I promise. For me, I think what's most frustrating is that whilst you personally have no contribution toward inflation, the very people making these comments and the wider monetary policy committee within the Bank of England that sets interest rates has one of the most powerful tools for managing inflation there is because they set interest rates. And I mean, the again, another thing is that whilst the bank imagined and told everyone that they thought inflation was transitory, it clearly wasn't. Like everyone was skeptical at the time, no one really believed it. And I think there's a bunch of failures that they made. They didn't really understand supply chains and how they'd be impacted. I've heard a lot of people say it was unprecedented, but I remember literally a month after lockdown happened in 2020. So this is like March, April. My employer, who at the time was affiliated with BT, was starting to look at how supply chains were going to be impacted. And I'm sorry, but BT is hardly well known as the most innovative or forward-looking company. It's an incumbent legacy telco provider, for goodness sake. This wasn't rocket science. Everyone knew it was going to be coming sooner or later. And honestly, these people should have known it was coming sooner or later. Another annoying thing is that whilst all this was going on, they carried on printing huge sums of money, which Hugh himself has argued didn't cause inflation, which is ridiculous, of course. And they ultimately want you to take the blame for having basically the audacity to ask for more money. I've also heard it argued that raising interest rates faster might cause a recession, but again, history has shown that time and again, a sharp, short recession is better than a prolonged one. These guys are meant to be economic experts, and yet I know they've not looked at the 70s and compared European countries because I did it in year one of PPE, and the data is very clear. And then weirdly, at the same time, they seem like they're still 50 years in the past, imagining this perfect market filled with complete information and rational actors who, if only they acted rationally, would accept their lot and so prices would stop rising. It's just like super incredible to me that within the Bank of England, rational action for is somehow still seriously considered for how the real world operates. And it's just textbook. It doesn't work in reality. This is also the same Bank of England and indeed Andrew Bailey, who just months ago was claiming that inflation had been tamed whilst it ran over 500% above target. Like this is an organisation and individuals within that have failed spectacularly across many months now. And lastly, I guess, is all very well trying to avoid a recession, but when double-digit inflation makes us all poorer, a recession is inevitable all the time. So my advice to you, dear viewer, look to improve your situation, look for more money, look after yourselves and your loved ones, because honestly, goodwill won't pay your rent or put food on the table, and sadly that all looks like it's going to get more expensive for the foreseeable future. And my advice for the Bank of England, start doing your job, stop lecturing us, and start taking some accountability for well over a year of failure. That's all I've got to say. Thanks very much, everyone. I've been the Boss Hog, and good luck with your investing. Bye for now.